Alright, we can't do it at the same time. Alright, just Edgar, do your clap one more time. Alright, then I'm gonna do it. Yeah, that's all we need. Alright.
Cool. Well, alright everyone, it is my distinct pleasure, honor, and privilege to welcome you to what is now our third installment or episode of the Boys Discussing Some Movies podcast, aka BDSM. And today we viewed and will be discussing a wonderful movie. It's called Being There. It is a classic American satire. It came out in 1979 by the great director Hal Ashby, starring the inimitable Peter Sellers. And let's just get right into what this movie is about. So it is a movie about, yes, there we go.
Box art.
Being There.
Criterion Collection.
We didn't steal this.
Yeah.
A gardener named Chance who has lived in isolation his entire life. He's been in this fancy townhouse, and pretty much everything that he knows about life, all of his knowledge, he's been entirely shaped by watching television his whole life. And then when a mysterious rich man who apparently has been keeping him in this house his whole life, he's been stuck there. When this old man dies, Chance is forced to leave his home, the only place he's ever been, the only thing he knows. And he leaves, and he's in Washington, D.C., and through a series of bizarre and unique misunderstandings and events, he finds himself thrust into the political landscape, and he's all of a sudden talking with the president, and he finds himself rubbing shoulders with the political and financial elite, and it's very interesting. It's hard to fully encapsulate like what goes on in this movie, but basically he is just always present as himself, but nobody understands quite who he is or where he's coming from, so they take him at face value, and so they take his very simple nature and his very simple speech, they mistake it for profundity. And because of that, he rises the ranks.
My editors and I have been wondering if you would consider writing a book for us. Something about your political philosophy. What do you say?
I can't write.
Of course not. Who can nowadays? Listen, I have trouble writing a postcard to my children.
We see how a very simple person, through misunderstandings and through certain privileges, can rise to the very top of society. And it says a lot about society itself that somebody like this could rise to the top. And even though it's partially absurd, I think that there's plenty of truth to it. I think it's a very insightful satire. At a time when probably it was the peak for satire, as a film medium. The 70s were up. I'm just going to geek out in the 70s. I've been discussing it with these boys, but yeah, I'm looking at you, audience. The 70s was a creative high point for American filmmaking, particularly with satire and particularly with cynical points of view, because it was a time, there was Watergate.
Whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
And then right after that, where the American public had their eyes opened and they were sickened with their institutions, but they still had residual idealism from the 60s, and they believed they could change and improve the institutions. And so you had filmmakers that were truly gutsy and willing to just go for it and just show wild things on the screen and present wild ideas. And I think that this movie in a lot of ways is a beautiful confluence of that, where it's just these great ideas and these great images challenging the way that we think. And I think even though this movie on the surface is a simple comedy, I think it's very thought-provoking. I think it challenges a lot. And to this day, I think it has a lot of relevance. I think it always will have a lot of relevance because it comes down to the human condition itself. I've probably blabbed enough. So, yeah.
Well, I don't have anything
That was
else
a great
to say,
intro.
so...
Yeah. That concludes
This
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what else. I wasn't quite sure what else to say, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could just read the Wikipedia page.
So
boys, yeah.
It's a pretty simple movie in terms of like, oh, this is what happened. He kind of is leaving his comfort of his home out to the real world. He has to fend for himself. But the layers of what you were talking about, the human condition and all that, it's like, oh wow, it's like, and then just hearing you guys talk about it too beforehand and out during it a little bit, it's just like, oh shit, I didn't realize. And then as I'm watching, I'm like trying to like, is that symbolic of this? Is it just him going to a party? Is it just him talking to these people? Is it just him being honest? Or is it like something even more or whatever? Just really, really awesome movie. And then like that ending, not to just skip ahead, but like.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I'm just like
Spoiler
rooting
alert.
for this guy the whole time. I just feel for him. Like this whole movie, I'm just like, please don't let anything bad happen. I'm just
The
like,
exact same.
I'm like feeling nervous of like, are those guys gonna beat him up?
Yeah. Is he gonna
That
get thrown in
doctor is
Guantanamo
gonna
Bay?
is that doctor's
Yeah.
gonna find out he's a sham, even though he's not faking anything
Right.
because he didn't lie about
No,
it.
yeah.
But is that doctor gonna uncover his secret, which isn't even a fucking secret? Just that whole movie of like, when does the bad part come?
Yeah,
I'm
same.
just
Definitely.
That is another thing that, like, whatever you could say I left out of my elongated intro is just that this movie is based on such a delicate premise, like that it's this house of cards that could fall apart so easily, and yet it doesn't. And you could say, well, the reason why it doesn't fall apart is because the director didn't want it to fall apart. But no, I think like it works. It's just this delicate bird, and it just works. It just because basically he presents himself in such a way that the company that he's around, they just accept it. Why wouldn't they? Why would they challenge? Why would they think that this guy was an idiot gardener? He didn't know anything. Why would they think that? Like, he's dressed the way that they dress. He speaks confidently. They accept it, and it's really, there's a lot more to it than that.
There's so much.
It's really, really interesting. I mean, I guess like just diving right into it, like a reason why this movie like speaks to me like really, really strongly in a way that might be like almost bizarre is because like I really believe that people pretty much only know what you tell them, like like or what you don't tell them, and basically it's just like. There's like the kind of like this thing where it's just like because he seemingly chooses his words so precisely, not really. He's just using the only words available to him.
He thinks about them.
because it appears that he's in deep thought, that he appears thoughtful, and he appears confident because he's basically like a child. So children are very direct, and we laugh at the directness of a child. But if we see an adult being direct like a child, we would think it. We would think of their confidence. And so everything that he says to other people comes off as confident. It comes off as precise. And like when Ben was saying, like, you don't play games with words.
My editors and I have been wondering if you would consider writing a book for us. Something about your political philosophy. What do you say?
I can't write.
Of course not. Who can nowadays? Listen, I have trouble writing a postcard to my children. Look, we can give you a 6-figure advance. I'll provide you with the very best ghostwriter, proofreaders.
I can't read.
Of course you can't. No one has the time. We glance at things, we watch television.
I like to watch TV.
Oh, sure.
It's true. Most people are deceitful and layered, and so it's refreshing to be like, oh, here's a person who just says what's on their mind, just speaks clearly.
Well, it's interesting because they kind of take like, he only says what's on his mind. Like he's a completely open person. He doesn't bullshit. He's completely. I've had a lot of coffee. I'm very wired. But he's basically, he's there. He's being there. He's wide open to the world. And people kind of, you know, like when you bullshit someone, when you kind of have like a fake persona that you put up, a front that you put up for society or for people.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
You know, a lot of times people can see through that, and he's not putting up any facade. Like he's just, and people are kind of bringing their own assumptions to that. You know, it's like kind of looking at like a great piece of art or a simple piece of art where you kind of have to bring your own stuff to it because there's not really anything there.
You know, Chauncey, you don't play games with words to protect yourself. No, you're direct. You remember what I was talking to you about last night?
No, Ben.
You know.
Yeah, he's a blank canvas.
Yeah.
People are projecting their things onto him. Whatever they want to see or believe, they project it onto him. And he's totally just goes with it.
Val, you said you saw this not too long ago. Did you notice anything different, or did you get anything different out of it, or?
What I wanted to glean this time from watching it was to see if, from the very beginning, there was another way of interpreting chance. I wanted to see that maybe what if there was more depth to him from the very beginning than I gave him credit for initially, because I knew where the movie was going and I knew what it would ultimately end in. And I found that there are some moments throughout the movie, in the beginning and stuff, where you can see the expressions, the thoughtfulness, and you can even see that he does, in fact, play some of these games that we think he's being entirely open about. I think he does withdraw himself a little bit, and he does try and distract himself a little bit. And I think that is kind of intentional because we actually never see into his mind. We, the audience, are actually assuming that he is an idiot from what we have seen.
Excuse me, but would you tell me your name again?
I'm American humor, eh?
So there's another layer to this movie, and it's a movie about reflection on our views, our values, how we see the world, about world events, historical figures. And it's an incredibly thoughtful piece that really puts into perspective just how fragile our perception is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really see him as an idiot.
No, for sure.
He was more, I felt like he was like, just naive, or more like, almost like an alien, or someone, you know, because he didn't seem stupid to me. Just somebody who didn't know anything about society.
As long as the roots are not severed, all is well, and all will be well in the garden.
Like Heinlein's The Martian.
Yes.
Well, so there's so many questions to ask about him, but like just so the questions just all right. So like he's lived his entire life in isolation. He's with that old man, whoever that old man is, that rich old man that we don't know if he's his actual father, who he is, but whoever he is, he's kept this guy since he was a child in that house.
Just like the new to the very end.
Well,
like he enjoyed his honesty. He's like, you could stay like. You can paint whatever picture you want.
Really, speaking of like that, there's the symmetry. I think is really cool. How it's like where he starts and where he finishes. Like from that house to then the bigger house, the bigger mansion. From that old man to Ben, there's this cool symmetry from where like. You actually see, speaking to what you're saying, Val, about like he's not really an idiot. I agree. I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think it's that simple. You see him learning as he's going along, and not just like learning information, but emotionally growing. Like because from the time when he sees the first old man who passes away, and he seemingly has no emotional reaction to it, but then at the very end, those are real tears. He's genuinely moved. I mean, you know, I guess this is kind of a silly way of putting it, but it's almost like Chance is almost like AI, and he's learning, like, you know, as he goes along, like as he enters into the real world and as he's gaining these new experiences, like he's clearly not an idiot. He's actually showing quite an ability to adapt and to evolve within his obvious limitations. But his limitations, I don't think, are so much genetic as it is, what would anybody be like if they spent their whole life sheltered away,
Right.
and then. And you can't really say, like, when this movie was made, it was in sort of like secondarily a critique on television, because it was like, are people watching too much TV? That's what, there was a great movie, Network, which I love, made in 1976 around this time about that same thing.
Chance would love TikTok.
Yeah. But the thing is television, I mean, that could be anything. That's like, the point is the technology of our times, whatever it is that we're consuming. But you could not say that television is necessarily like this terrible thing, because this is where he's getting his information from. For better or for worse, that's been his teacher. So I don't think it's a fair criticism to say, well, TV is a bad thing or the devil or a rotten influence on him, because it's like, that's all he's got.
Yeah, it's how he connects to humanity even. It's not just information.
I mean, what would anybody be like, you know, if that was all they had? So I think there's something like inherently unique or special about Chance. I don't think it's just
Alex, what are your initial thoughts?
Anyways, yeah, go there. Yeah, it's enough. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. I'm gonna try and keep it short.
No, don't.
I mean, there are 1,001 things to say.
Also, real quick just to interject real quick, what would be the spoiler alert here?
I think I already said it.
Coca-Cola.
I mean, the ending we're talking about, or
okay, so aside from the last 5 seconds, what would be the biggest spoiler of this movie? Just.
Well, I mean, that's
just the fact that he goes so far.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that the fact that no one ever figures it out except presumably the Doctor. The Doctor is the one that seems to be wise to, this guy may not be who everyone thinks he is.
But he questions himself in the end.
Well, I mean, he has that moment.
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Also, did Chance the Rapper get his name from this movie?
Chance the Gardener?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gonna have to look that up. Anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so the movie is titled Being There. We'll start there. It's clearly inspired and modeled on this Heideggerian philosophy notion.
Slow down.
Okay, so Martin Heidegger is one of the most influential philosophers of the 20th century. He published a book in 1927 called Being and Time. And the central concept of this book is this word, German word, Dasein. And it literally means being there. So what is being there? Being there is existing in the world. Simply put, sounds simple, but he wrote like a 8,000-page book on it. So there are several central themes to Heidegger's work, and I mean, one of the reasons that I was like geeking out at the beginning of the movie, like the first 20 minutes, the way Hal Ashby, and I guess I don't know the writer of the book, like it was based on a book.
Jerzy Kaczynski.
Thank you. The way they tell this story is perfect. It is ingenious. And all like the symbolism is like has been used since ancient times. Like he's in the garden, right? And the old man is God, And I mean, there's not an Adam and Eve story, but Eve comes in later, right?
Yeah.
Eve. And we'll talk, right? So we can like get around to that, but
this is very helpful for me, by
right? Okay, cool.
This is dope. Yeah,
so
keep going.
Okay, so he's a gardener, right? He doesn't even have a last name. His name is Chance, right? Not that we know of, anyway.
Yeah. We just know he has nice underwear, but continue.
Right, well,
finest cloth.
Which apparently belonged to the old man, right? Yeah. Okay, so one of the Heideggerian notions, the ideas in his philosophy are this notion of authenticity. And you look at this character, and I mean, what makes him so charming is that authenticity. And Heidegger went at length discussing what it is to be authentically in the world, what it is. And there's, it's not like a rigorous sort of thing that you can like put your hands on, but it's something that we all understand in terms of expressing yourself as you truly feel and as you truly are, So authenticity means being your true self, right? And this is like, this isn't anything like Heidegger's work is like 100 years old. So it, it's not like this is going to like blow anyone's mind, but it's clear that his work went into this story. And one of the things that Heidegger says about being authentic is that you're not influenced by society. So like you're above society. And so we have these relationships, right, with our history and our future. Chance literally is in this garden, literally at the beginning of the story, he's in this old man's garden, which he keeps, right? And this is like the wisdom of his entire life is how to keep this garden. He's protected. He doesn't even have a last name. His name is just Chance. And
I'm Thomas Franklin.
Hello, Thomas. I'm Chance the gardener.
Just this like singular entity in in this like symbolic Garden of Eden, right? When he leaves the garden, when the old man dies, and all of a sudden he's told that he should leave, he has no sense of what that even means. And like when the old man dies, there's no emotional response. He has no conception of what that even means. The old man's always been there, in the sense that, like, the old man is just eternal to him while he's inside the garden.
Yeah.
He has no sense of loss inside the garden.
Yeah.
But later, he has the same, and that's part of the story, right? Like that's like a part of how the story develops, and we can get to that.
Yeah.
We can get back to that, but what I think is just like so remarkable about the way the story was set up. And again, like Heidegger talks about this concept too. My friend, I can't remember the Heideggerian term, but a buddy who I studied with, Abdullah, shout out to Abdullah, he calls it situatedness. And the idea is that you're situated, like you're born. Oh well, I know what Heidegger calls it, being thrown into. You're like thrown into a context. He was born, we don't know his history, but he's like in this like wealthy household with like nice clothing. So he's born into this world. He has no sense of what it is or what it means to people in the real world, but he's like situated. And when he steps out the door, he's in this like
2001
beautiful
Space Odyssey remix.
Yeah. Okay.
That was really.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're on a roll.
That song reminded me a lot of the Mission Impossible TV show.
Oh yeah! Oh my god, yeah.
But also 2001 Space Odyssey.
I thought it was 2001.
Yeah, it's
okay,
Thus Sprach Zarathustra, but it's the funk
you.
version.
Yeah, it
it's
was
a
the
funk
funk.
cover.
How was it pronounced again?
Because
I always
it's
forget.
the 70s.
Zarathustra. Something
Zarathustra. We'll just like put that like on the screen.
It's the spake Zarathustra.
I know, because it has an actual name, and I always call it. It's not the 2001 theme song, but I just like call it that. But
yeah, it's easier.
It may as well be.
But it's really it's so brilliant how they use that the funk version of that song is masterful. It's really when the movie like takes off.
It signals the change.
It takes off in a big way. Yeah.
Yeah. It turns into an action movie like that.
Up to that point, all of the music is this like harmonious classical music, and when he sets foot out the door, you get. And you get the like funk beat.
But him setting out his foot out the door is not much different than the monkeys first touching the monitor.
Yes, most definitely. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just try and cap off the thought of just like how this story like takes shape in the beginning. One of the things that makes him so authentic is like we can talk about his intelligence. Like he's obviously touched in some way, to use an old term, but he's nonetheless he's wise. He knows how to make things work. He knows how to make things grow. He knows how to cultivate his garden. And he understands those things.
So then, what are your plans, Chauncey?
Well, I would like to work in your garden.
But the setup for the story, and it's very much like The Martian. I was thinking about The Martian. He sets foot outside of the garden, and he's situated in this place that he has no sense of the meaning. He's situated as in his dapper clothes and everything. So people look at him and they regard him in this way, and they project all of their own meanings. Their situatedness is projected onto him, and they're like, they suppose that he's all manner of wealthy white guy. Actually, pin in the thought that like there is some race commentary, which is very pointed.
Well, this movie is both philosophical and social commentary.
Yeah,
it's both.
Most definitely.
For sure, yeah.
Most definitely. But anyway, so just to set the scene, he like his authenticity, the authenticity, like when we talk, it's like the notion of like John Locke talked about individuation. Individuation is this idea that like later Carl Jung took on, and Abraham Maslow, like this idea of self-actualization, like this like purity of the self, of like being oneself. He doesn't know anything else. So he's like sets foot into the world, right? He sets foot, and he's just immediately charming. And I mean, his name, Chance, I think, is very aptly chosen. Like,
it's not by chance.
Yeah, I mean, like the idea.
to get a reaction.
Anyway, yeah. So okay, that's awesome, the like set.
I love that. Like, I'm serious. Like, in part, like, if not mostly, like my recommending this movie was because I knew that it was just going to burst these ideas out of you. I guess like, kind of selfishly, I wanted to just like hear you just like go on a philosophical, steamroll.
Awesome, cool. Well, I'll
that was just the beginning.
Yeah, I have so much, but yeah, that's like how it starts.
Yeah,
and I mean, just such a wonderful movie. Yeah, thanks again, Michael. For
because the thing is like this movie can be taken as a simple comedy. It can be that experience, and it is. It has a lot of funny parts, but there's a lot of meat on the bone too.
Oh man!
So quite funny.
I think of course, and that won't get lost in the conversation. Or what I meant to say is won't get lost in the discussion. Is that this movie is very funny, and it's played so brilliantly by Peter Sellers. And something that's really cool about this is that Peter Sellers, he desperately wanted this role for years and years and years. So the book was written, the same title being there, by Jerzy Kosinski, and then it was adapted for the screen also by Jerzy Kosinski. The movie came out in 1979. From the time the book came out to the time it was pretty much in production, Sellers was pleading for that role. He actually contacted Kosinski like personally. He was like, "You don't understand. I am Chauncey Gardner." Because one of the cool things about Sellers was, so he was a master impressionist, and he famously said that I don't even know which camera to be looking at. My bad. But he says
this would.
I'm trying to be there, But he said that he said I have no. Peter Sellers was such a like devout performer, like such a so crazily devoted to his craft. He said that I have no personality when I'm not doing a role. Like he said, he's like, I have no personality. I'm just a chameleon. It's like when I'm doing a role, that's who I am. When I'm not doing a role, I'm nobody. I have no personality. So he felt like he was Chance. He's was like Chauncey Gardner. He was born to play that role. But basically, though, what happened with Peter Sellers was there was a period of time before when that book came out, being there, and then the movie when he was struggling. And it was really only thanks to the Pink Panther movies when he became relevant again, became financially viable again, that they're like, okay, we're going to let you do that. And so anyways, the rest is history. But there's so many choices that Sellers makes with physical humor and with just the way he delivers these very simple lines that is so funny. And definitely I just don't want it to get lost in the conversation. This movie is worth watching just because it's funny and Peter Sellers kicks ass.
Oh my God. Yeah, what a genius. What a genius.
Continue though, yeah.
Oh no, well, so I wanted to start off like just putting all of the philosophy in place for how the movie starts. But I want to buttress like the conversation. You guys like, I mean, if anyone is like chomping at the bit right now.
No, please Val.
Let him
speak.
You have
anything
let him
to
speak.
Say? You know about philosophy and computers and stuff.
I do want to talk about the end of the movie.
The end.
Yeah.
I mean, we can jump.
Can we
around.
jump around?
Sure.
Is that allowed?
I mean,
We're gonna jump around
like,
here and there, right?
There are so many
Who knows what
questions.
we're gonna
Like we can ask the question of like how the character develops to like no feeling when the first old man dies to the great feeling when the named Benjamin Rand dies. Right? Like he weeps. He weeps for him. And then there's the question of like
his version.
The doctor actually like finally like lights up and he's like, wait a minute.
So something I want to
This is what's going on.
New clothes.
He is actually a gardener, you know?
Okay.
Like,
Something that I wanted to ask of all of you is, I mean, we've been touching on it, but just more directly, like each one of you, why do you think it is that he is so well received and why everybody likes him so, just about everybody likes him so much and is so taken by him?
Except for that one guy.
Except for that one,
yeah. The president?
The president and then the dude from the beginning
The
that
attorney.
like kicked him out.
But even the president like uses his little chestnut.
Totally. Pretty much everyone else loved him.
Using his speech. So why do you? Because I have my opinions, but whatever. I'll zip the lip. I want to know why you guys think. What are some of the reasons why? And everything you said was beautiful and awesome as far as like the philosophical foundations. But I'm just curious, like. In a more simple way, why does everybody like this guy so much?
I could definitely start on that one. You want to go?
Easy to talk to. He's like, he has no abrasiveness. He's just like, there's not a lot to him, but I feel like he can make you, the way he is, he doesn't have a lot going on, can kind of make you feel if you're talking to him like you're smart or charming or clever.
I understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
He's very understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think you're just the man to take charge of an institution like that.
I understand, Ben.
I think that's just kind of the lack of, I don't want to say lack of personality because there's a lot going on with that character, but the way he presents as kind of a blank slate, I feel like would make one feel like, just like he's very easy to talk to and like you're kind of clever when you're talking to him or something.
So is it convincing to you that something like that could plausibly happen? That he could rise the ranks? Because some people would say no.
Let's finish the one question first.
Hear everyone else's thoughts.
Yeah.
I think he's so well received because he embodies like childlike innocence and nature itself. He doesn't reject anything outwardly. He just takes in, accepts, and resonates. It's as simple as that. He's there. That's all he's really doing.
He's being there.
Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Okay, so I think it's I mean, and I agree to add to that.
Because some people would say this is an implausible notion. I think it's totally plausible.
Let the man speak.
Yeah.
Well, so I do want to get, because I think that's important.
No, I'm saying
I think that's important.
Yeah.
And the name Chance, but so I think it's a combination, like what makes it so easy for people to like him. He has this presence, like he knows how to dress himself in this like dapper fashion. He looks like a wealthy man. Like you spot him on the street and he's wearing the finest suit in like 10 square miles. People are like, well, this is a wealthy man. Like, yeah, and clearly he deserves or whatever. So immediately people have like project this notion of who he is and who they're talking to. And after that, they just project their own thinking onto him. So like he has there's actually a word for it. It's called halo effect. There's this effect that like if you
I don't know what that means. Sorry.
So I was about to explain. Like the halo effect is when someone presents it in a certain way and it's good, right? So like wealthy, okay, that's good by our society standards, and then you just fill in the rest of the space. Like yourself. You just like assume, oh, well, that means that he's smart, and that means that he's charming, and that means that he, whatever, he's deserving and he's a good person. Like that's the halo effect. So I mean, it seems to me like he was thrown into this like wealthy position in society, and by combination of that and having really nothing much to say himself, he doesn't care to speak. I mean, if people ask him a question, he responds. The best way he can figure how to. But aside from that, like people want to talk. Yeah. People want to do their own talking, right? And they will do, like he's looking him in the eye, he's listening, and they're thinking like, oh wow, this important person is listening to me speak, And so they're just like, this is a great guy. This is my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, does that?
Oh yeah, no. Sorry, I'm like thinking too. I'm like, yeah, I agree with what most of you guys are saying. Feel like either subconsciously, whether you notice it or not, when you meet someone, it's like just talking to someone. A lot of the times, people want to talk about themselves, and when you meet someone that genuinely is interested in you, or at least appears to be interested in what you have to say, and like, because his acting like sells it. Either the way he's smiling at you or talking or just nodding, it seems very pleasant and genuine and calming and like, oh yeah, you do seem like a cool dude, even though he's just been very agreeable and nice with you. And like, I think that's why the majority of the people like loved him or were instantly attracted to him. And not to like go too far off of this, but like the title being there, it's like a lot of the times, I don't know, it's like when people are going through tough shit, whether like genuine tough shit, like losing a loved one, it's like a lot counts of like the title just being there. Like even if you have fucking nothing to say, being there counts for a lot because you are showing just your presence there is enough. Like him and the old man bonding so much, I think that's why it's like, oh, someone is like genuinely curious about me or is willing to hear me out, and I'm going through this tough shit, and all he is just fucking either listening to me or hanging out or whatever. But I think that's why.
I like that.
Yeah,
take.
no, I'm glad that hearing
I'd
all
like to
those
say something.
takes.
Have you ever had a relationship with an inanimate object, like a pet
What
rock?
type of relationship?
Yeah. Have you ever hugged a tree or just talked to, I don't know, a picture or
Stuffed
something?
animals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Chauncey's
like that. You're giving to it. It's there. It's remaining there. It holds no judgment, no ill will. It's a comfort. It's a security blanket. It just exists. It's much like trees, water, stone, it's reliable, sturdy, consistent, and it has no negative consequence to you. It's as safe and considerate, I guess, as things will ever really get. Because even people who care about you will judge you or, suggest you do things that you might not want to do for your own well-being because they care about you. Chauncey, he doesn't even have the faculties to go that far. He's just there for you. And I think that's why people like him.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks, guys. It's like all of this stuff, those are like things I was thinking. Because like with Chauncey, it's like being around him, I imagine it's incredibly comforting. It's like Chauncey almost becomes a pet for Ben, Mm-hmm. It's like Chauncey's like a dog or a cat, and it's like just like what you're saying, Val. It's like Chauncey's not going to challenge you. He's simply going to be there for you. He's going to look at you lovingly, like with admiration and
But I feel
good,
like he's more than that.
Yeah,
just in terms of like.
Oh, he is.
The wisdom, like if all he knows in life are the seasons in like the analogy of like the garden and tending to it, and like even through like the winter and the trees that are bare, you have to like stay strong because the season will continue and the cycle will continue. It's like so with everything in life, really, so like it's weird. And then jumping to like the very end too, it's like, okay, so what is the connection between this scene and that wisdom that like, if the only thing he knows is how the seasons of life go, like, I don't know. What do you guys think it is then?
Well, it's like, so obviously there is like a...
Hold on.
No, I'm sorry. No, you go. Okay. Yeah, I'm being the opposite of Chance. I should listen more.
Saying earlier that he's very reflective of nature itself, and it's because the simplicity of the relatively unintelligent is actually reflective of higher intelligence and wisdom, because at the face of things he can't comprehend or overthink or underthink. He just sees things as they are. He's reflective of reality. I think that this movie implies with its ending a challenge to the notion of how you perceive the world and you perceive certain historical figures. You were making a reference to the name Eve earlier, and I think it's very apparent that Chauncey is a mirror of Jesus in a sense. He has his father that he leaves, he departs from the heavens, this safe and comfortable place. And
what's that? Just for that.
In this world, he has only ever given to people. He accepts what they give him, but he doesn't demand or take. He just accepts, really. Or asks considerately. And we might think of Jesus as a character in
South Park,
or Marvel,
in
or
history, as this very wise and intelligent person. But it could just be that people didn't understand who Jesus was. They might have misunderstood, because we can never really see inside the mind of someone what that kind of person meant by what they were saying. There's a lot of missing context that we never get inside the minds of the people we know. That's what I have to say on that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Dang, bro. I just want to say,
everybody smoke a fat blunt.
No, seriously. Val, you're so thoughtful, and I was saying this to the other day, that you just expressed a Heideggerian concept.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that was revolutionary about his philosophy, like moving up to that point, like philosophers would think of them of like this cup. Like, I will never understand this cup as it is. Like what I only understand this
well,
cup
you will
from
if you take some acid. But,
well,
yeah.
from sitting in this chair. Like that's the only way I know this cup.
Its name is not cup.
Well,
it's George.
But Heidegger's revolution, this like being there concept, one of the central pieces of his philosophy, and you just expressed this, is just being completely in touch. Like by being there, by being in the world, we are like the idea is subject and object are completely connected. Like there is no separation between subject and object. So like what you were saying, like the appearance of a lack of intelligence is actually like he was looking at things and seeing things and expressing things exactly as they are. He didn't say anything complicated, anything at all complicated. But the whole movie, he's just like looking people in the eye, and like people are like Ben, like he's like Ben Rand has really taken a shine to you, and he says, "Oh."
Chauncey, I just wanted you to know how delighted I am that you're staying with us and how dreadful I feel about your leg.
Thank you, Eve.
You lifted Ben's spirits tonight to such an extent. Do you know that? He liked you so much, Chauncey. He really did.
Ben is very ill, Eve. I've seen that before.
What more is there to say about that? I don't know. Nothing. But that's how he reacts through the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean that unity of experience is exactly what like this authentic being there is all about. And I just wanted to say that in my enthusiasm because like Val consistently like touches on these philosophical concepts.
Yeah,
I love it.
Hell yeah.
No, I'm just
this
really.
episode's for you guys.
No, I'm saying I'm loving hearing like all of you collectively like saying these things because for years like I've loved this movie and I've kind of mentioned other people and what I've been met with is not so much criticism, it's just like, well, what's really to this movie, or there's not that much, or it's not plausible, or like, come on, like how could this guy even find himself in that situation? They would see through him, and I'm like, no. It's not only is it like deeper than that, like not so much like, oh man, you just don't get it.
Scott, you just don't get it, do you? You don't.
But it's again, it speaks to a lot about human nature and the human condition, and chance is representative of so many things. I mean, because there's this sort of dual agenda, if you will, going on in this movie between, like I said, there's the philosophical commentary and then there's the social commentary. So on one hand, there's that crucial scene in the movie when Louise, the former maid, you know, the black woman who's saying, you know, it's for sure a white man's world, and you know, like that all you have to be is like white man in America to get whatever you want, and that's not incorrect. There is that truth there. And then coupled with that side by side, there's the other truth of like, okay, but chances, it's not just that. There is something deeper going on here. Why is it that we revere certain people? Like, I think with Ben, he calls himself a kingmaker, right? Ben is like, he's at the very top. Like, why does he why does he trust Chauncey so much? Why does he gain strength from him? He's the strongest man, you know, like everyone, he's the puppeteer, everyone is his plaything.
Just a correction. He didn't say he was the kingmaker. He said people called him.
That's what I mean. I didn't mean he actually, sorry.
He didn't think of himself.
He didn't think of himself, yeah, way. But I just think because, like, probably for someone like Ben, where he's always just around people who they know that they're beneath him, you know? And
yes, men.
Yeah. And so it's like for him, probably like the fact that Chance doesn't use big words, probably for Ben, like big words are like a cheap, meaningless currency for him. Like that does nothing for him. Oh, good. Oh, you sound smart or whatever. Like the calmness that and the strength that Chance seems to project. Like there's something there. There we're right back to being there. But there is something there, and it's always been this thing that's kind of stayed with me about this movie, which is why I just want to hear what you guys had to say, because I'm like, I know this movie is a lot more than just a simple satire.
Oh yeah,
like
so much. Yeah.
I think for someone like Ben Rand and for the president and stuff, there were, meeting I think it was probably really refreshing for them to meet someone who just kind of talked to them like a
the
normal
Russian
person.
dude, too.
The Russian guy, yeah. Like, he calls the president Bobby when he leaves, and exactly. Yeah, he basically unintentionally tricks a Russian guy into thinking he speaks Russian,
which just
ambassador.
Speaks to the whole point. It's like these people are just projecting their own shit
Yes,
on it.
yes.
It doesn't even matter that he doesn't speak Russian.
Yeah.
Is what?
A lot of people are full of shit too.
Oh my god! I mean, it's aptly placed in DC, right? It's very ambitious.
That's not an
city.
accident.
It's not by a long shot. It's a very ambitious city, and one of the reasons he's must be so refreshing is like again, like Ben Rand has taken a shine to you. Most people would be like, ka-ching, right? Like wow, but he's just like, oh.
And the fact that like he just from the very beginning says, like with his first encounter with him, he's like, you must be very ill. And then when he looks into his eyes, there's that really in between all of this satire, there are these very tender, very tender moments. Thank you. He was just illustrating what I was. Yeah, there are these tender moments, and there's a very tender moment between him and Ben when it's like there's no laughs, but it's fucking intense. Where it's like he says very simply to him, because everything he says is simple, but he says, "I'm sorry you're so sick," and they make eye contact.
I must excuse myself. I'm awfully tired.
I'm sorry you're so sick, Ben.
And it's like that right there is like the moment when their souls they're just freaking connected, and at that moment Ben is like, whatever you want, like you're my guy, like you are my we don't know if he has kids. I don't know. Like it's like, is this the son he never had? I mean,
Can we talk about the ending now? Just like
So
the way I interpret it, so he walks away from the funeral that was against his wishes of the loud. Because he said he didn't want a lot of...
Against the wishes of the man.
He didn't want a lot of pomp and
circumstance. Sorry, I don't know the names yet.
Ben Rand.
But a part of me was like, before seeing the very end, is like, is he leaving because he got bored? Or because it doesn't matter? Like, it's not what he wanted, and also, like, he's already gone, like the person I've accepted that he's gone, and I'm just
that's how I
do my
took
own
it.
thing now, and
Because
that's why I'm just gonna go walk to the woods or like to the lake, because like none of this matters anymore. This like show, and it's like it's contrasted. Him walking with nature is contrasted with, well, so who are we gonna get as a president now? Because this person, he's got a tricky past, but like he's not the man for the job. And then back to him just walking along the woods or whatever. Yeah. And like she notices it, but like doesn't really say much about it. So I don't know. It's such a cool ending to a fucking movie.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's one of the...
I don't know what to think of it.
One cool thing just to go back to, because I was talking about how Hal Ashby made the horrible decision to have... At the very end of the movie, once you see like a film by Hal Ashby, just pause it or stop the movie.
Seriously.
But there's
as
a very...
As soon as the credits start to roll, pause it and turn that shit off and enjoy the feeling that you just had.
Because the ending is...
So whatever feeling feeling I had was
out the window.
So the ending is so brilliant and powerful, and it should just stay with you for at least a couple of minutes before a scene. There's this grotesque added by the end of the movie, this outtake of
what a beautiful ending.
But here's the thing, though. But I want to say,
so nice.
But here's the cool thing though about the ending though. It's both against and in favor of Hal Ashby. Hal Ashby actually added not just the crappy outtake, but he added the ending of Chance walking on water, because actually in the book and in the original screenplay, he doesn't walk on water. He's just, a spoiler as far as what actually happened.
Really?
He's just walking in the woods. He's attending to the little sapling. And then Eve comes over and is like, hey, I was looking for you. And then he's like, oh, you found me. And then it's like, oh, we found each other. And then they walk back to the funeral service. But Hal Ashby knew, like, that doesn't really work. That's not really what this is. And then he added that, and then Peter Sellers was like, he added the part with the umbrella to show that it was because at first Chance isn't even aware that he's walking on water. And then he had, like, it dawns and I'm like, huh? And then he tests it, you know, with the submerging the umbrella into the water and realizing, oh, I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, or something that's unnatural.
Almost exactly like what happens with Charlize Theron in Arrested Development when she walks away from the wedding.
Oh my God, will you come visit me lots?
That's going to be difficult, Rita. You're going to be across an ocean.
Well, you can always walk.
Not on the water.
Oh my God, you're such a grown-up.
Hey! Hang on a sec. That's part of your trick, right?
No. That's not my trick, Michael.
But anyway, so yeah, you know, it's an example of where like you can do great work and screw up at the same time as far as Hal Ashby's decisions. But nevertheless, yeah, the ending is just it's just so cool. Like I just wanted to talk about it.
Well, the explanation is he is Jesus, then, right?
Well, it seems a little too overt to me, that ending.
I don't think it's just that.
How else can you fucking interpret walking on water?
Well, okay. So again, you guys clearly both Alex and Val have more philosophical language in their arsenal, and it's beautiful. But in a very, like, I guess, simple way, I kind of put it is,
That's where me and Indy come in.
No, I really don't think it's so much that it may or may not be that this person, Chauncey Gardner, Chance the Gardener, is physically walking in water, or it could more just be like a symbolic gesture as far as like how we see him. Do we see him, whether or not he's actually walking in water?
No, he's checking himself too. You paused it at the right moment, actually.
No, I know. Does this making sense? You know what I'm getting at? Like, where it's like, this is how, whether or not it's actually
Val, what do you
objectively.
think? Yeah, Val,
that's a deep take.
Is this our subjective interpretation of him?
The funeral.
That's a deep take.
Like,
okay.
The funeral ending.
It's a good question.
And contrasted with Chancey, who, apart from all else, is living and walking in nature and reality, and then everyone else is back at the funeral, part of this human construct. The people who are discussing this Illuminati-like group are talking about control. Chauncey is not
pyramid with the eye at the end.
Yeah, Chauncey is not trying to control anything.
Yeah,
he's just being there in nature, observing its phenomena, and I think the movie puts a question to the audience at the end, kind of to make you question things about reality and what you perceive. When the reality probably is, much like the rest of the movie, is that Chauncey is just out there. He's probably in some shallow water, and he found a little deep spot, and he poked his umbrella in.
Nah.
I
mean, that's a valid take. It's a valid take.
Yeah. I think that we are reading into it as much as all the people throughout the movie were reading into it.
Well,
is what I'd like to say.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Val, because and I'm going back to my boy Roger.
Point.
I'm going back to my boy Roger Ebert. You know, Raj, he was the man, and but he said, because he said that he was teaching a class at one point about this movie, and some of the students objected. They said, no, like he's probably like what you're saying, Val, like he's on a shallow part of it, or he's what's the name of that when you're walking on water and there's a word for it. No, not that. Sandbar. Thank you. Sorry, forgive me.
Exactly. A what?
A sandbar.
A sandbar.
Oh, sandbar. Okay.
And so, like said, some of the students said, "Oh, he's walking on a sandbar." And what Ebert said, and I agree with him, is
there ain't no sandbars in the Washington area.
There are no sandbars. No.
Okay, that's fair.
He was like, no. He's like, that's not what the director is showing us. We have to accept at face value what the director is showing us. The director is not showing us that. The director is showing us that he is walking on water. So you can say like, well, this is how they technically did it, but no. What we have to accept the image we are being shown, and that is he is walking on water. So it's a valid point that you're making. But at the same time, it's like no, it's not like. Well, maybe clearly that's the image that the director...
Yeah, well, Roger Ebert didn't
it's
direct
up
this
to
movie.
interpretation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, no. Hal Ashby, I don't know if he's been directly on record as saying he's walking on water, but I agree with the take that that's
what do you think about the ending?
Yeah. So, I think that all of these takes can dovetail together. I really do.
Yeah.
Ebert's point about like taking at face value what we're seeing, like Hal Ashby is clearly saying something.
Yeah,
he's saying something. Yeah. And I mean, it dovetails with what you were asking earlier. The question, like, could this really happen? You know?
Well, no.
Well, why not?
I mean, you're talking about specifically the walking on water.
No, okay,
the whole
so
thing? Right.
Well, I'm saying, what does Chance walking on water? What is it? Not so much what it says about him. What does it say about us?
Yes. So yes, I was going to.
We see him walking on water. What does it say about us that we can see that? Does that make sense? Am I really getting too?
I was going to.
No.
I was going to iterate. I was going to iterate that question in a very similar way. I was going to say, what's important about what is happening in this image? Like, what's important about this?
Yeah.
Like, let's just start with how like we're all like. Is he Jesus? Is he the second coming of Christ?
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that he has just like walked through the highest Washington society effortlessly and beloved by all.
He is Jesus.
I mean, that's like very Messiah-like.
Well, those are pretty steep odds, and he did that. So why can't he do this?
Odds, chance again. Like asking the question, like, could that really happen? Yeah. You're missing the point.
Yes, thank you.
You're missing the point if you're asking that question.
Thank you, everyone.
Like
you're the one asking.
Wait, sorry. So wait.
No, he was posing it
Alex,
like people who have asked him that before.
I'm saying because for a long time
he walked on water. Yes or no?
I don't. Metaphorically, yes. That and I
sure. But this last 5 seconds of the movie.
So I don't think it's important if he literally walked on water or not.
Oh, I know the importance of it, whether it's important or not. I'm saying, do you, after he left the funeral, do you think he's walking on water right now?
I think that if he did, it's just as important as if he did not. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I think there's a chance that he did.
Oh God!
but I don't. Well, but I don't want to rule it out. But I think for me, I think it's infinitely interesting to consider what it says that we can even entertain the idea that he's walking in water, whether or not he actually is walking in water.
Yes.
That we can entertain that thought, that very idea, is something that's really worth considering. I mean, it's like, not to get all into the Jesus thing, but I mean, as far as like his miracles,
let's get into it.
No, as far as like the miracles go, right? Because it's right in there. Check out your nearest bookstore. Check out your Bible. But I think it.
This is a huge ad for the Bible.
I think it still might be one of the best sellers, but
Peter Sellers.
Yay!
Look, so I get the importance of the walking on water, whether he did it or not, and how we perceive it, but on a much more simpler basis of like his actions from the beginning to the movie to the end. Just answer it, David. Do you think he walked on water?
I don't want to be difficult, but I'm agnostic. I really am agnostic on the point. Like, I don't take sides on this particular point. So Hal Ashby is clearly saying something. He's saying something.
We just get into a scuffle.
Cameras fall over.
It just goes black, and then when it resumes, you see almost look like
we're just like bandages on and black eyes.
All right. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone included. It doesn't matter if you want to or not.
Well, so like, okay,
you sit down like you're all bloody, and we're like, all right,
okay.
reach the senses. Team walked on water. Hashtag believe chance. Hashtag walk with Chance.
We've all agreed that there are no sand dunes or whatever the fuck you're saying.
Hey, I'll tell you where you can take your fucking sandbars. Alright?
So
take
okay,
the fucking sandbar and shove it up your way. Okay.
so it seems to me,
The light's telling us to stop.
It seems to
about
me.
the water.
It seems to me what Hal Ashby is saying is he's like painting a picture of this person who Chance is through the whole movie. He's painting a picture of him, and at the last moment, he's saying, "This is the kind of person he is." It evokes this nirvana, this Buddhahood, or this Christhood. Call it whatever you want. It's like a holy. He is a holy man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if he's walking on the water or not. He's a holy man regardless of whether he's walking on the water or not. He has holiness in him.
Yeah, I feel like the feelings and ideas that this image engenders is more significant than whether or not it actually occurred.
Well, Edgar, do you want to answer the question? Is he walking on water or not?
Does that sit with you?
Let's
hear what you think.
I think we're in complete agreement on this.
Whether it be the Marvel universe or the Peter universe, in this universe, we see him walk on water. Just as we saw him get into a car and talk to people, we saw him walk on water.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I want to see.
I'll take it.
I want to see him turn that water into wine. I want to see him get some extra fishing.
If one of the other characters were to look over at this, what would they see?
They would think he's walking on water.
Okay.
Which I think goes back to support the idea of, because one of the criticisms that I heard, which always bugged me, was, gosh, I guess that Ben Rand guy, how smart could he be? He got duped by Chance. And it's like, I don't think he got duped. I think...
Look, I've been hanging out with Michael.
Well, that's another story. But when he holds out his hand, right? When he holds out his hand, right, and he's like, I let me feel your strength. And then the doctor, who at this point has figured it out, and he's kind of uncomfortably watching over it, it's like, you could interpret it. Some people interpret it as like, gosh, isn't that too bad that at the end of his life, like, he's holding the hand of a fool. But the way I look at it is like, like Chance obviously has some intrinsic, esoteric channeling of something, that
he
Ben
saw,
is
like, in the very beginning, the first big laugh, at least from what I noticed, was the whole, like, the only thing I have left is upstairs, The
room upstairs. That was an awesome one.
And I think...
The room upstairs.
So good.
What's the guy's name? The older dude?
Ben Rand. Oh, by the way, played by...
What's happening?
Oh, I think it's just a trolley of some
sort. I think someone's rolling something.
Played by
Sorry, Jesus.
He's walking on water. Oh my God.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Come to talk with you again.
You better recognize.
So, like, the first laugh we got where he said the only thing I've left is upstairs, and was that before or after? Did Chance know he was dying yet, or no? Like when he told him that.
Well, no.
When he said the only thing I have left is upstairs.
No, he did. He did because he knew he was very sick because when they first met in the Rand Memorial Hospital, like in his home hospital, and he told him that he had this condition.
So I think with him saying that and then him getting to know Chance throughout the movie and the time being spent with him, when he said, like, let me feel your strength, I think that was the strength for him to, like, let go. Like, no more, I don't want any more shots. Like, this is, like, pain, obviously. Like, I don't want to live anymore. And this guy I just barely fucking met has really made me feel more confident about myself and, like, acceptance of fucking dying.
Yeah.
And as soon as he held on to him, he fucking...
So it wasn't just like, that's the thing. So it wasn't just like Chance got really lucky that he got to be in this, ushered into this, mansion, which is like the mother lode of opportunity. It was like
they were lucky.
Yeah, Ben.
They were though.
They were. I said that as a joke.
True, but it's true.
But Ben benefited too. It wasn't just like well, gosh, how lucky was it for Chance that he was one moment homeless, and now he's, you know, in this
Living in a mansion.
swank mansion, you know, like rubbing shoulders with the elite. It's like, no, I mean, like for Ben, like he got to have peace, like, and how many people, I mean, not to like get like super lame about it, but it's like in the end, that's all anyone wants and can hope for, is that they can feel peace and confidence and acceptance at the end. And he gave, that's the ultimate gift you could give someone. He gave him that.
Yeah. And he literally,
You know, like-
he literally walks up to him while he's
Yeah.
on his death. He says, "Are you ready to die now?"
Yeah.
Like, "Are you ready to die now, Ben?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Flat out.
He said something like
Are
that.
you going to die?
Yeah.
Are you going to die?
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Ben?
I don't think it was "Are you going?" I think it was like, "Are you?
No, he-
are you?"
He did not say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
He
it
said,
going?
going to
Roll
die?
the tape.
Okay.
He said,
Fair
he said,
enough.
"Are you going to?
But-
Are you going to die now?"
Chauncey.
Yes, Ben. Are you going to die now?
I think I'm going to surrender the horn of plenty for the horn of Gabriel.
But Ben decided to die.
Yeah.
I think is the important piece. Like he like
Yeah, he like
comes to a place
asked
of
him and he was
acceptance.
like,
It's like, you know
Yeah.
what? Yeah, I think so.
well, now that you put it like that,
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess.
and then remember when the doctor was going to spill the beans, and then he said, you know, like, since he's been here, the thought of dying has been much easier for me. And then that's when the doctor realized, crap, okay, I can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, that's when his decency kicked in. It's like, But,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but that's not, I'm saying that that's not Ben being fooled or mistaken, that he found something meaningful, because there is obviously, there's something. And that's kind of this roundabout way of what I was going from the beginning about Chance. There's something about him. Whether or not he's walking on water, there's something about him that would give us the idea that that could even be possible. Like he's
Guys
not.
want to be him and girls want to.
Well, I mean, that
they
also
do, right? All the women in
Yeah,
that movie
that's
were
right.
like enamored by him.
Yeah.
They were like something about him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It made that other dude jealous, like the girl that was in bed. Remember?
Not Louise.
Yeah.
The
Made it so the
dude
president
at the
couldn't get
beginning
an
that
erection.
kicked him out.
Yeah.
The very
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
his like girlfriend or what?
Yeah, his
Yeah.
girlfriend is in bed, just
Mhm.
like staring at the TV. He's like, I don't know
Oh,
who
yeah.
he is, but
I meant to
I
ask
love
you.
this.
I meant to ask you guys because it's like the only significant female role, unless you want to count Louise. But Eve, it's like I think it's really interesting. Like Eve, in so many ways, mirrors Chauncey, because she's like a child living in this big home, and she doesn't really like know much of the outside world, and so it's like they're both like children in the garden.
In
you
the
know?
garden,
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And she's, I mean, yes, I get it, her husband, but in a way he's much more like what the first old man was for Chance. Ben is much more of a paternal figure. I mean, yes, we get the idea that they love each other, but it seems to be a more paternal love than it is, you know, directly romantic. But it just seems like the two of them are meant to be together, and in that way, I don't know if like, now I'm going from the Jesus thing to like the Adam thing, but like
Val,
it's
what do you
Chance like
think of
original man.
Eve's character?
I mean, there's not that much to say. I think that you guys haven't already touched upon. She's a very closed off person, much like him. And in a way, they provide each other with love and respect. And I think her entire development in this movie is learning to let go and move on, to open herself up and, you know, get back out there in a sense. Yeah, I don't have that much to say on her.
Okay, unanswerable question. Do they end up fucking?
When he comes back from the lake.
exactly.
Or do you really want me to answer that?
Well, I mean, I am interested in that. But what do you think? Okay, what do you think after he's done walking on water? What's next for Chance? Does he become president? Like, what's life for him?
Does he become president?
What's life for him in the mansion with Eve? Like, do they ever get wise to him? You know, like, is there ever a moment when it's like, wait a minute, this guy can't read or write? Like, does he continue on this magic carpet or water ride? You know,
The second one. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it doesn't really matter what happens after.
Yeah,
the
none
movie,
of that matters anymore.
But I mean, the story's been told. I mean,
You're not interested in the adventures of Chance.
I think it's suggesting that the people in the group or Illuminati-like group are going to make him president,
right?
And that even if they do find out, it'll probably be in their best interest to just keep using him. And so, even if people discover that he's an idiot, that's all going to be denied, covered.
Not an idiot.
It's only, sorry, simpleton?
Naive.
I would say uncluttered.
Uncluttered. Uncluttered. That's a very
an
great
eternally nascent man.
Beautiful.
Actually, there is a little social commentary there. It's a good point.
Yeah,
I mean, think about how.
Look at the George W. Bush.
This could be
there too. Chance's revenge.
I mean, yeah, like think about how the Christian church uses
this meeting
Jesus
was no chance
to get people to tithe on the weekend. You know. All right, I said it.
You said it, everyone. And the devout Christians that follow our podcast are all going to
We're going to lose all of
this
them.
point.
All the devout Christians who follow the BDSM.
Yeah. But I mean, that is an important social piece that you said. I mean, like if we're talking about the future of Chance, like people are going to use the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, think about I mean, after he dies, which he
see, because I think it would work out for him because
they'll
it's
use whatever chance comes their way.
Well, as long as as long as powerful people stand to benefit from him, he'll I won't say go unscathed, but he won't be taken down because it's like, what's going to happen? Okay, so who knows the truth about Chance, right? Louise knows the truth. Let's call it, keep it real. Like they'll be able to shut her up easily.
But does she know the truth about Chance?
Yeah, well, does she? I mean,
no, she knows his history.
Okay,
yeah.
She said she raised him as a child, and did she try to teach him how to read and write, or did she say he can't read or write?
I think she just said he never learned to read or write. Yeah.
It's like pudding between his ears.
I mean, again, maybe it's a question that
really nothing though she could say. There's no physical.
I mean,
That's true.
Kind
You're right. He doesn't even have a birth certificate or anything.
Yeah. The historical details of his life may not matter. It may be immaterial, but there is just in my mind. I'm just wondering, like, how did he get to that house? What is his relation to the old? But it's like you said, you brilliantly laid it out as far as what the old man represents, what the garden represents, what that environment that he's in represents. So maybe like the actual details are completely irrelevant because that's not even something to think about.
Yeah, I mean the story that's being told is definitely about this person who has no history, right?
Yeah,
like that's the whole point. I mean, it's interesting certainly if you wanted to like dive into it.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's because also like just like the social, because again this movie is doing two things at once. Well, it's doing more than that, but it's like I said, it's providing. There's all of this. These rich ideas it's presenting, and then there's also like, okay, but the world itself that we live in, like the social commentary, whether it's the racial commentary or it's the classism. I mean, there's like all these things, these rich ideas.
You know what else was a really neat thing throughout the movie? Like when people were attempting to have conversations with him, and he would change the channel, like he would just get bored.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Even on himself.
So I'm saying he would have left TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, TikTok would have been his fucking thing. But it always, I mean, directors do this on purpose too, but like a lot of the times what's on the TV coincides with exactly what's happening. So like one of the times I think it was Eve was trying to talk to him, and it was Big Bird. And one of the
let's be friends.
Yeah, I was like, let's just be friends.
Right,
like you're a special person to me. Yeah. Like that was like his Jesus powers talking to her in a weird way. Like, you know, because he's
that's
like
a
not
great
there.
point. That's a great point.
It's like Big Bird saying, oh, you know, you're a special person to me. Like, oh, you're a brand new friend to me. Let's be friends. Let's be special. Like, that's the only thing I was paying attention to.
Yeah.
Because I know that they always do that shit on purpose.
No,
it's like
but you're
never
right.
on accident. You know?
Not to continue to put Edgar. Thank you for saying that, because not to put too fine a point of it, but these things that we keep seeing, these images and the audio that we're getting from the TV, it's obviously not by chance, but it's like there's even the moment when he gets in the first time when he gets in the limo with Eve, and he's like, may I watch television? And there's a news story on, and then she goes like, she's saying the whole like how she finds it difficult to keep up with what's going on in the world, and then he changes the channel. And then I think she interprets it as, oh, that was sensitive of him, like, to change the channel because I'm not enjoying this. Yeah. But that's just really him, or is it? Because it's just like...
Jesus power.
No, he does. No, there's without a doubt, I mean, there's some type of, like I said, kind of a divinity running through this. There's something, because it's just not as simple as, well, everybody's just dumb and not picking up on things. And like, no, like, something's happening.
Alex, did we miss any juicy stuff in here?
Oh, actually, I wanted to credit you because way earlier in the movie, you made the comment, "I like the cut of your jib," which is a Simpsons reference, and I guarantee you that the Simpsons writers were thinking of this movie when they wrote that episode.
I'm a man of few words. Any questions?
Is the poop deck really what I think it is?
I like the cut of your jib.
What's a jib?
Promote that man.
You remember the episode? When the naval admiral takes Homer under his wing? Moron Homer.
Oh, yes.
Like,
yes.
Like, what do you want, Homer, in life? I want peas. Yes, we all want peas. But how do you get it? With a knife. He's like, yes, not by the gun, but by the bayonet. And then, like, I like the cut of your jib. Promote that man. I mean, I'm sure they were thinking about this movie when they did that episode. I wanted to say that.
I would encourage people to watch this movie beyond just, again, the richness of ideas of this movie is also its technical prowess and just how good the dialogue is. There's incredible wordplay throughout. But again, there's like all these cool little like director moves, like when he's on the talk show Chance, and then he's watching himself in the limo and then changes the channel. But the first time we see him on the show, we see him watching himself in the limo. Like,
right,
and
the president's like, he's a natural. Do
it. There's just like, again, I think this is just such a well-made movie. I think it's really cool just to look at. Never mind the ideas, but the ideas are great. And that's why thanks for sharing your philosophical opinions, because
for sure,
it's more than just a silly movie.
It'll probably be my last chance to actually talk about any philosophy. Or
we're not doing that next week.
Right?
There were so many rich philosophical ideas from Sleepless Night that we just didn't get a chance to.
No, I'm sure. I don't know them.
I wanted to add on to the whole controller thing. So, in the beginning, I was saying earlier that I think upon a second watch that Chance did feel terrible about the old man's death, but he had the controller in his life, and I think that represents kind of control in this little contained garden or heaven or environment, whatever you want to call it. And so he's watching TV, and he's occupied with watching TV, and upon leaving the house and this area, he's constantly trying to change the channel on things he doesn't like or understand or is uncomfortable with, and then he starts seeing himself on the screen in the window. I think that's an important moment, because I think to the audience it might not mean much, but maybe to himself it means that now he's there. He's in television. He's in the world that he's been watching for so long. And I think it might stroke curiosity and interest in things. He becomes very playful, and that's actually what leads to kind of him getting pinned by the car in his leg. And that's where he drops the controller. He lets go a little bit and lets life take him. He no longer has control.
Yeah. But that's also
is great.
But that's also where there's that
oh my god.
But Val, what you're saying, that's also where there's that divine influence, when it's like that was the moment when like him seeing himself on the TV and then backing up is what led to him getting struck by the car, which is what led to all the rest of the events. So it's like it just feels like there's this divine influence.
Yeah,
that's
you could compare
going
it to
through
like
all of this.
How in Christian mythology people are angels and things look down on us from heaven. I mean, he's observing the world. He's observing the world, and now he's finally in it. Is that kind of moment?
I was thinking.
Also, the TV thing leads to one of the great comedic callbacks in the movie when he's like, "I've been on television."
I've been on television, yeah.
And then the woman goes, "Yes, he's been on television."
Yeah.
There's just great.
Like, this guy knows the media. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I just love the cleverness of this movie that they take such simple lines and get these great laughs out of simple lines. Like, you know, comedy in so many ways is just about like just stripping it down as much as possible, getting to the most simple idea, the most simple line.
Yeah, space, right?
Yeah.
You give it space. And Miles Davis, like legend of musical composition as he is, talked about this all the time. Like when he like made a piece, he wasn't thinking about the notes that he was playing. He was thinking about the space around them.
Yeah.
And there's so much space. Every time he has one of his simple responses where like Ben Rand is taking a shine to you, there's all this space of expectation.
So good.
Like, well, yes, I did go to Harvard and I did all that, or whatever. It's just like, and then there's space.
I like that.
And it hits so wonderfully in that way. It's just delightful every time. And it just like again and again. Yeah, just to dovetail on that.
All right, look. This is already our longest episode.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And we haven't done our individual takes yet.
Yeah.
I think we might want to head towards wrapping this up because I actually also have to be to Lens Crafters
I swear this is just my one last question, and I'm not. Can I ask you guys one last question? And I'm not going to say any opinion. I'm just asking a question at the end. If you guys want to answer this, I'm not going to say. But do you think that any, as far as like the influence of television, right? Just say. Do you find any of it then like applicable to say the technology that we're inundated by today? Like
you already said TikTok.
So that's what it would be. Okay, so that would I just as far as like any larger take on that.
All right, Val, do you want to start this off with the
never mind.
the VHS and film reels?
So there are like 1,000.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Should we do it without? We can do it without the mic.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're pressed for time.
Just to quickly explain. So we have film reels, which is going to be our subjective measurement, right?
Film reels are the objective. I don't like that word, but yes.
Okay,
film reels are the objective quality of the movie. VHS tapes are how much we enjoyed it personally.
Correct.
That's our simple... Well, that's not very simple. That's our overly complex system. We can't. So
we keep it very professional here.
Hey, we understand.
Yes, we empathize with you. All right.
I see. Yes.
I think that this is a wonderful little movie with a very great base layer to its story, and an even greater allegorical, metaphorical layer where you can read into it whichever way you like. So I'm going to give it 5 in both VHS tapes and film reels.
A first for Val.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey! Wow.
All right.
I see.
No.
I agree with what you said, and I thought this movie was amazing. I thought it hit every beat. I thought it was very deep. It was great on a surface level and on a deeper level. A little too smart for me, however. You guys, kind of explained, kind of broke down a lot of what was great about it, helped me understand what I liked about it. I'm, even though I'm kind of tired of giving every movie 5 out of 5. Don't worry, that won't be the case with our next one, I think. I'm going to give this 5 out of 5 in both categories. It was just fantastic, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Yeah, Michael.
Oh my gosh, it's weird. Like, all my insecurities were, like, coming to the fore. I'm like, these guys aren't going to like this movie, and I'm going to feel dumb for selecting. And now I'm like, shit, all right. Well,
yeah, Michael's other friends hate
now
this
I got to be the other way around and fault. No, I'm following suit. I already blew my wad on this. You guys already know, like, I've been splooging all over this movie from the beginning, so I'm a little drained at this point. But,
and he blew his wad and he's drained.
You see where this is going. I like to consider myself quite the wordsmith. Yeah, this movie, like I said, I have such deep love for this movie. So on a personal level, like it's an easy 5 out of 5 for VHS because it just speaks to me. It makes me laugh. It makes me think every time. And then as far as the film reels, I do believe that it's very worthy of 5 out of 5. I think that this is a movie like that is just worth seeing. Like I think anybody who is interested in good movies needs to watch this movie. Like it's deserving of being like on that shelf of this is a movie to watch. So anyways, and Peter Sellers is great. Hal Ashby is great. These are like film titans, icons. So get into it. Check out Being There. Love you guys. All right.
All right. So 5 out of 5 on both?
5 out of 5, yeah, on the film reels.
On both?
Yeah, on both. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be surprising that it's, for me, 5,000. 5 out of 5 VHS tapes, 5 out of 5 film reels for me, most definitely. Anyone who's paying attention to our podcast to this point knows that I'm a very enthusiastic person in general, but I want to make it very clear that this is one of my favorite movies ever.
Damn.
Cool.
Without question. My personal favorite movie is Blade Runner, and this like is nudging, it's nipping at its heels.
Dang, bro.
Oh my god. I mean, I'm just taken away. I'm completely taken away. And without, going on too much, I've already gotten to have quite a bit of the stage. I appreciate that. I have a lot to say. We didn't say anything about the cinematography, which was wonderful.
It's so good.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, the cinematography was brilliant for the composition of every shot. I mean, we've got this shot of him on the of Peter Sellers on the water on the TV right now.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's spectacular. The way they constructed, the way Hal Ashby and Krasinski, was it?
Krasinski.
Krasinski.
John Krasinski.
The way they told the story and the clever ways that they wrote the dialogue, to have Sellers and everyone around him speaking directly past each other and yet having these conversations that actually progress. I mean, it was so cleverly written. But most importantly, I think it speaks to not just the human condition, but it speaks to the best of what people can be. I mean, he's a holy man. I like to, he channels divinity, as you said, Michael. I mean, it's just a wonderful piece, and definitely a must see. Full endorsement from this nobody right here.
5 out of 5.
Yeah,
Cool.
5,000.
We'll see if that's allowed. But
Yeah. We'll go
No
over
halves.
very carefully look at the terms of your contract.
Oh, and just real biggest Oscar stud, Peter Sellers. No Oscar.
Peter Sellers. We didn't talk about the acting. Like
I know.
Peter
I'm just saying,
Sellers. Peter Sellers. Wow.
Fuck the Academy. It's one more example. But
Yeah.
he does not speak for all his
but Melvin Douglas, who played Ben Wren, he did win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. It's the only Oscar that this movie got. And that's a great performance. But yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much going to agree with most of what Indy said. As a simpleton like Chance himself, I enjoyed
As
this
a holy
movie
man.
a lot.
I'm not a smart man.
It was very entertaining. Right when it started, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be like a slow drama movie." So I had that mindset going, and then as the movie kept on going, I enjoyed it more and more. And it was the cynic in me was just waiting for when does the part come where he is killed or he dies or becomes homeless, or when does the shitty part happen to this nice and genuine guy? And it didn't happen. And I feel like a lot of the time I'm like, oh, that should have happened. Or it's like, a movie needs to have something like that to really leave an impact. And it didn't. And it did an awesome job. And after watching that, I was like, what a really nice, aside from the fucking ending, not the actual ending where he walks on water, but like
the outtake.
The outtake that's included right afterwards where it takes you out of it. I loved it. So like, I didn't love it as much as you guys on the 5. I am giving it a high 4. I just don't see myself rewatching this that much. That shouldn't take away from how much I enjoyed it, and enjoyed it watching it with you guys too, because it's such a feel good, genuine movie. And I'll probably show Annie this movie too. But for myself, I'll give it 4 VHS tapes. But as a film itself, easy 5 film reels. Like, such a cool movie. Criterion did an awesome job restoring it because it looks incredible. The picture is amazing. The sound was amazing. All the shots were really, really well done. And yeah, it was awesome.
All right.
5 for me.
All right. Good job, everyone.
Hooray.
And
then off to Indy now, right?
Yeah. Very exciting. My pick, my next episode is my pick. I've been planning this for a while. I already bought the Blu-ray. It is the first film, the very first feature film from a very prolific director. It might be terrible. I haven't seen it.
Which is a BDSM first.
Yes,
the
exactly.
host not watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is John Carpenter's Dark Star.
Oh, sick.
Has anyone seen that?
No, this is awesome.
No.
All right. No one has seen it.
Dude, John
yes. All right. Cool.
Dude, awesome.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for being there.
Okay, we gotta cut it.
All right. Good job, everyone.
Well, folks, like, subscribe, comment.
Subscribe and share and
And if your friends don't know what BDSM is, send them our way.
And if you like BDSM, we got BDSM.
We already cut you off, Michael.
Damn it.
Michael's the first one to go.
All right.
All right. Good job,
That was
guys.
fucking
I got
great.
a pee. Holy shit.
Michael, we'll be talking about this for. There are 1,000 more things to say.
There's more I'd love to.